Hey y'all, welcome back to the Smoke Dungeon. It's DB here. Got a little treat for y'all today. Today we're checking out some Marvel Crisis Protocol figures for, I believe they go by the Winter Guard now, but when I was a kid, I think they were the Soviet Super Soldiers. And that's what I remembered them as. And when I played Marvel Crisis Protocol for the first time, these dudes had just come out. And I was hot for them because when I was a kid, these dudes really grabbed my attention in this here comic book, yo. X-Men vs. the Avengers, #1 from 1987. DB was in on this, yo. And it was these dudes, the Soviet super soldiers, basically appear in here and rock out against the X-Men and the Avengers and stuff. Oh, look at this panel right here. Little egghead dude coming out with the heater. You got a bear throwing a train. I mean, come on, dude. Come on. When you're like 10 years old, what's not to love about that, right? I mean, I was all in. So when I saw that they had these dudes and I played a couple games and I enjoyed it, I knew I had to paint them up, y'all. This right here for the Winter Guard is Ursa Major. He is a bear man, yo. He's a mutant dude that turns into a bear. His real name is like Mikhail. I think it's like Mikhail Bear. Mikhail Ursus or something. But yeah, these are Atomic Mass Games or Fantasy Flight, whoever it used to be. So check it out. Bear guy. I painted these dudes with, let me think. This guy and I think Darkstar were primed. No. He was primed with GW Wraithbone, and then he was painted primarily with contrast paints, except for up in his mouth and like his teeth and stuff. Let me see if I can get it a little closer. He's dope, yo. One of my favorite guys. I don't know. I was a big fan of the X-Men comics when I was a kid. And this one just totally captured my attention. And maybe it was because, like, I'm a child of the 80s when I grew up in the 80s. So, like, you know, Russia, Soviets were bad, yo. And they were going to fight the X-Men and the Avengers in this book. But, like, to me, I thought the Soviets were, like, kind of cool in this comic book because you never, like, they were just new, right? And they were, like, crazy superhero guys from Russia that you didn't really know shit about. And I don't know. It was cool because everybody knew who like Iron Man was, right? But did you ever know about Crimson Dynamo? Check him out, man. What do you think? Pretty cool. Again, painted with red contrast paint. I think it's Blood Angels red. And then Vallejo silver in here. This is a Vallejo yellow, I believe. And a yellow in his palm, like he's getting ready to blast you with some repulsor rays. Contrast basilicum gray for the brick. This is a Vallejo rust color. I forget the exact name of it. And then a Vallejo black base rim. You know, pretty straightforward. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game the first time I played it. And once I knew that these Soviet dudes were out, I was like, oh yeah, we're getting them. We're getting a little Winter Guard action, right? Yeah, like I said, this Crimson Dynamo, by the way, if you don't know, he is like the Russian Iron Man. So, yeah. And for some reason, he's the leader in the game. In Marvel Crisis Protocol, he's like he has like affiliation leadership rules, but in the comic books, or at least in the comic books I read. Granted, DB hasn't touched comic books for a while, but I got my old ones, but I don't read new ones. So maybe he's the leader in the new ones. I don't know. But back in the day, he would. Back in the day, this dude wasn't even an official member of the, I'm banging the table, of the Soviet super soldiers, which is why I think the Winter Guard is slightly different. There was like a Thor dude. He was like a Russian Thor, and his name was Vanguard. It's kind of crazy. But this guy at Prime White, y'all, get that crisp boot action. And he's, I went back over the whites, and then he's contrast red. That's regular, I think this is a flesh, some kind of Vallejo flesh tone. And then the shield is Vallejo black. And this dude is my man, the Red Guardian. He's one of my favorite dudes, too. He's like just a Soviet Captain America guy, yo. But he's dope. I actually liked how he was done in like the most recent Marvel movie. I thought he was, or his recent appearance in the Marvel movies. He was some crazy, like, fat, drunk old guy, but he was still had the super soldier serum and stuff in him and still. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. Real name, Nikolai Krylenko. Butcher some Russian names, yo. My horrible English. And here's the lady of the crew, Miss Darkstar. I feel like she was somebody's brother. You can't even see her. I gotta put my hand in front there. I feel like she was somebody's brother in the comic books. Again, she's contrast black. She's an old GW yellow that I then went over with contrast paints. And then this is like a Warlock purple, I think, or whatever the contrast purple is. Then we got some gray, and then the rust again on the sewer grate right over there. Darkstar, she was pretty cool. She would like summon dark tendrils of magic or warp energy, kind of like Everard's black tentacles in D&D, or some Warhammer shit. It would be like some chaos, some chaos stuff. But yeah, man, I just wanted to share these, like, because this comic like totally grabbed my attention as a kid. Look at that. Ursa Major, he's about to wreck shop on Storm and Dr. Druid right there. Like, She-Hulk is catching the Soviet dude's hammer. This dude, Titanium Man, he was like Crimson Dynamo, but the crazy egghead dude like sat inside the middle of him. He was bigger. Yeah. These were the comics I grew up on as a kid, dude. Havoc was an X-Men, one of my favorites, dude. Love some Havoc. Yeah, see Captain America, Wolverine, Black Knight, another one of my favorites. Yeah. Yep, super cool. Super cool. I've held on to these for a while. DB has all his original comics from the 80s and the early 90s stashed away somewhere. But I just wanted to share these Soviet super soldiers, a.k.a. Winter Guard. One of my favorites. Pretty cool game. Check it out. These dudes, though, dope faction, right? I mean, come on. Everybody plays like the X-Men or the Avengers or whatever. My two favorites, Heroes for Hire and the Soviet Super Soldiers. So, yeah, everybody, be good to one another and do what you feel.